Hey my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name's Bettina and I am the makeup enthusiast. In today's video we are going to be doing a two-part video. Now the first part I'm going to mention a couple of my 2017 makeup fails, and then in my second part of this video I am going to be doing a 2017 makeup favorites anti-haul. Now I have been watching all your makeup favorites for 2017 and I have been studying them, and I have come up with a substantial list of products that I have seen mentioned in a couple of different favorite videos that I will not be buying. So I have watched your videos and I have listened to how much you like them, but I have decided I still will not buy these products. So without further ado, let's jump on in to the first part of the video. For my first part of the video, I only have two makeup fails for 2017. My stash, I guess you could say, is quite minimalist in my eyes compared to a lot of other people, and I do a lot of research before I jump on into a trend or onto a new release and buy it. Now these two products I was really excited about. I heard great things about them, so I thought there's quite a few people that are saying these are good, so I'm going to jump on in and purchase them. I will say though, the first one that I'm going to mention was purely a purchase out of curiosity for myself, and I don't regret it, but I wouldn't recommend it for you guys, and that is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture Palette. Now don't get me wrong, I like this palette, but I don't like it enough to recommend to you guys. I don't think you guys should waste your money. I wouldn't recommend this. I like it because of the color range. It really challenges me and it gets me out of my color zone and my comfort zone. I only grab this palette out when I have actual time to sit down and work with it. This palette requires quite a lot of work and it requires a lot of patience, and yeah, I just wish this formula was better. I really like my Prism palette and I really like my Modern Renaissance palette, but this palette just falls short. I think the color range is perfect. It's phenomenal. It's really different, and that's why I like it. It takes a lot of work to get a nice eye look out of this palette, just purely because of the formula of the shadows. It's quite easy to put colors together, but in terms of them working and looking together by the end of your look, it does take a lot of effort. So for that reason, I wouldn't recommend this palette. I guess if you are wanting something that's going to challenge your skills quite a lot, I guess grab it if you can, or if you can get it on sale, I guess grab it. But just be warned that it's going to take you a fair bit of effort and it's going to be quite challenging to make the colors work because they are a bit more difficult to work with. And my color cube has actually, like, you get a bit of color payoff from it, but it's kind of sealed over and it's really hard. The few times that I have used this palette, I tried to get cube onto a brush and like put it in my inner corner or pop it somewhere, and it just wouldn't pick anything up on my brush. So cube is kind of one of the ones in this palette for me that have sealed over. The other two shimmers are still alright. They still work well. But yeah, in terms of getting what's the word, color definition or color like segregation, if you're wanting something like a look where you can clearly see the variations of color, this is probably not the palette to go for. They do kind of, once you start blending, they do kind of like muddy together. They can get that way if you're not careful. So if you're wanting a palette where you can kind of create looks with these nice like mustard and teal colors and have them clearly seen on your eye, I hope that makes sense. This is definitely not the palette to grab for. I would recommend finding some way else to get those mustard and teal colors if that's the color that you're wanting. My next fail for 2017 is the Ordinary Coverage Foundation. Now, I did a review and wear test of this foundation. I will leave it linked up in the corner. Everybody that had oily skin raved about this for some reason, so I thought, well, I'll pick it up because for $12, like I think this is $12.90 Australian, for $12 you can't go wrong if it's that good, if it's as good as they were saying. But this is just a total fail for me. I don't know whether the people that were trying this that I was watching had oily skin, but not as oily as me, but it didn't work for me. I felt that it looked quite oily at the end of the day, but I guess if you have skin that's kind of only slightly oily or takes a long time to get oily, I think this would work for you. But if you're someone like me that foundation is normally like a grease ball mess by 11 or 12 o'clock after like 4 hours wear, this is not going to be for you because it gets quite oily and it's hard to save it after it gets to the point where it is showing oil. It just depends on how oily your skin gets as to whether it will work for you, but for me it didn't work. So now moving on to the fun part of the video. As I said, I have been watching 1,000,001 2017 beauty favorites on YouTube. I have watched them, I have listened to them, but I have decided that I am still not going to buy these products based on a 2017 favorite recommendation. I am still not going there. I am not going there. I'm not going to touch it and I'm not going to buy it. The first one on my list is the Farsali drops. Now, to me, this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard of. I have seen all the Instagram videos where the girls drop them all over their skin. They look amazing, but it's not something that I'm interested in. Me with oily skin, it's not going to work. The fact that it has like gold flakes in it, like, I don't know if you guys know, but gold in skincare is pretty much useless. So I have no idea why they're putting gold in these things when it has no skincare benefit whatsoever. So I'm not going to buy it. It seems like a total useless product to me. I will never use it, and I mean, it looks cool when the girls strip it all over their face and rub it in, but other than that, like, it serves no purpose to me, and I don't think it would be very good as a primer for me because I would just look like a oily mess. The second one, which I know quite a lot of people mentioned in their 2017 makeup favorites, and that is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. I'm not going to buy it. I still am just not convinced by Morphe. None of their stuff really speaks to me. Their palettes all look the same. So I guess when the Jaclyn Hill palette came out, I was a little bit more interested. I will admit, like a tiny little bit more interested, but still the design and layout of the Jaclyn Hill palette still doesn't really interest me. The fact that there's only, I think from memory, 4 like poppy colors in there, and you guys know, like, I'm quite partial to having some colors in my palette. So the fact that there's only like 4 in there and it's mainly a warm palette, it's not interesting to me. I don't really want to purchase from Morphe either. I've had a look on their website a few times and I think shipping to Australia is like ridiculously expensive. So for me, it's not really worth it. I think I would be quite disappointed by Morphe, and I think I would be quite overwhelmed by their palette, and I'm just not interested in the Jaclyn Hill palette. I've seen a lot of reviews where people were quite underwhelmed by it, and I'm just not willing to put that much effort and money into a purchase when I know I will probably be disappointed in it. So that's why I'm not going to buy the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. The next item is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I have the Too Faced, what's it called? Chocolate Bar palette. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. That's the only palette I have from Too Faced. And I mean, I like that palette, but I don't even remember the last time I reached for it. So I think that would be the case for the Sweet Peach palette. None of the peach stuff really kind of jumps out at me. 1, I don't really like the smell of fake peach. And 2, it just doesn't really speak to me all that much. I find the palette looks a bit boring and a bit drab, and I feel like I don't have a Too Faced Sweet Peach size hole in my collection or my heart. So I'm not going to buy it because I don't feel like this is going to fit into my collection very well. I don't think I would use it, and I don't think the smell, I think the smell would upset me. I'm not one for really having strong scents in my makeup, and I really don't really like the smell of fake peach. So that one's not coming into my collection. You can keep the Sweet Peach palette. You guys can have that one. The next one is the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. I have heard a few people mention this, and I've heard it throughout the year in monthly favorites. I don't think this would work for me because it's a dewy skin mist. Like I said before, I have quite oily skin, so a luminous mist is not going to work for my skin. The only real reason why I use makeup setting sprays, I have one in my project pan at the moment, and it's in there because I don't really use it. And then I have the MAC Fix Plus, and that is purely used for intensifying my eyeshadows. I don't spray it on my face. I think I've maybe sprayed it on my face once or twice, but in terms of having a luminous skin mist, it's not for me, and I don't really like the idea of having mist to spray on my face. And from my understanding, I think this might be like quite substantially alcohol based, so I don't think that's really good for your skin either. So I'm not going to be touching the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. It's not for me. No thank you, and I'm not going to buy it. Next up is the Huda Beauty Liquid Lipstick Sets. I think I'm kind of over liquid lipsticks. I've finally found two formulas that I like. I like more of a comfortable liquid lipstick on my lips. I don't like anything that's overly drying. And I did mention in my 2017 yearly favorites, which I will link up in the corner, what my liquid lipsticks favorites were, and they are my like all-time favorite formulas. I don't think I'll stray from them anytime soon. I don't think I really need any more liquid lipsticks in my collection. I'm not really drawn to any of the Huda Beauty colors all that much. So for that reason, I'm not going to be buying any of the Huda Beauty liquid lipsticks. Next is the CoverFX Enhancer Drops, and this I guess is the same along the lines of the Farsali drops and the Luminous Skin Mist. I don't like cream highlighters. I don't think they look good on my skin. I've heard horrendous things about the CoverFX Enhancer Drops, that they look really bad on oily skin and skin with texture. They break up and they look really chunky, and they're really hard to work with because they set really quickly. For that reason, I'm not going to buy it. I don't think it will work on my oily skin. I really need something that I can set down, and I don't see any point in me using a liquid highlighter and then setting it with powder. It kind of defeats the purpose of having them. Like, it kind of cancels each other out, so it's kind of pointless for me to have a liquid enhancer drop that I'm putting on my face. So the next item is the Sisley Primer, and this is called, I'm going to need my phone to look at this, the Double Tenseur Instant and Long-Term Lifting Primer. Now this primer retails for $192 US, and I think in Australian dollars that would nearly be probably $300, if not more, for a primer. Like, really? Are you guys insane spending that much money on a primer? Like, really? I think if you need a primer that is that expensive, you really need to take a look at your skincare routine and figure out what is going on with your skin before you're spending $192 on a primer. There is no way in hell I would ever be able to afford that. And for $300, there is a lot more that I can spend $300 on than one single primer. That is ridiculous, and I don't think people should be spending so much money on a primer. Like, it's not even something that you can kind of see on your skin. Like, I guess I understand spending $192 on an eyeshadow palette or something like that because you can actually see it, but a primer, it goes under your makeup, and like, is it really that great? Like, really? Does it really work that well? Like $192 worth? I don't think so. I'm not buying it. Next, it's kind of similar to one that I've already mentioned, and it is like anything from Morphe, like any Morphe palette. And this is because I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. Anything from Morphe looks the same to me. All the big 35 pan palettes, I look at them and I see like 20 shades of the same color, and then like 15 shades that are slightly different. And I don't see the point of having that. Like, I feel like you can take one of your shadows and kind of blend it out or mix it with a lighter shadow or like a white or a cream shadow to get the like variation in color. I don't understand why you need so many different shades of the same color. And I feel like I would look at a Morphe palette and I would just get really overwhelmed, and I probably would just put it at the back of my drawer and never use it. And like, I'm starting to run out of space as it is in my collection without having a freaking giant like A4 plus size eyeshadow palette that I would never reach for or use. So that's why I'm not buying any of the Morphe eyeshadow palettes. Next up is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nicole Guerriero Glow Kit. I was kind of on the fence with this, and then I watched some reviews and I heard that the formula is a little bit different to their normal glow kit formula. And you guys know, if you've seen my 2017 makeup favorites, that I love the Anastasia Glow Kit formula. Like, I'm wearing their highlighter today on my cheeks and whatnot. So I love their formula. And when I heard that it was not the same, I was a little bit disappointed. And then I saw that a lot of people were having their glow kits arrive to them broken or shattered. And I thought, I'm not paying, I think it's $17 international shipping from Anastasia Beverly Hills to Australia. I'm not paying that much to then potentially have it arrive broken and be like heartbroken and disappointed. So for that reason, I haven't bothered purchasing it. And I guess the colors don't really jump out to me. I feel like I have all of the colors in that palette kind of already in my collection, and there's not a hole in there. Nicole Guerriero Glow Kit shaped. But I feel like it's kind of already been done and I've already got it. So I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, pointless in my collection. I don't think I would get any use out of it. And I feel like I would be disappointed by it. I've heard that it can emphasize texture, and I don't really want the disappointment of having a broken highlighter palette arrive to me. So for that reason, I'm not going to buy it. Next is the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I'm just not drawn to these colors. Orange isn't really my thing. I guess if I got it, I probably would start liking orange. But yeah, it just, and the Urban Decay Naked palettes, I've got the 1, 2, and 3. And I never reach for them. I hardly ever grab them out. I feel like is it 12 shades in them? I can't remember how many. But I feel like they're similar to Morphe. Like, the shades in the palette are very similar, and there's not much variation in them. And I feel like it's been done before. I feel like they were a little bit late to the warm tone palette train, and I don't think they did it all that well. So for that reason, I won't be buying the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. It's just not for me, and I don't want it. I won't buy it. I'm not buying it. And my last item on my list is kind of a dual 2 product, and is the Smashbox Primer Water and the Smashbox Primerizer. Now the Primerizer, similar to all the other glowy products that I mentioned, I'm not buying because I have oily skin. It's not going to work for me, and I don't really like glow in my like base products. I like to add my glow. Like, I like to add my highlighter where I want it rather than all over my face. So for that reason, I'm not buying the Primerizer. It's just not something for me, and it doesn't really fit in my collection all that well. I don't think it'll work for my oily skin, and yeah, no, it's not going to work for me. And then the Smashbox Primer Water in a similar vein. Like, is it just a gimmick? Like, I feel like it's just a gimmick. Like, water that you spray on your face. Like, I don't think that it would work for me. It doesn't interest me. I feel like it's a gimmick. I feel like it's an overpriced gimmick, and I'm not going to buy it. I don't want to try it. It doesn't interest me. And for that reason, you're not going to get my money, Smashbox. So there you have it, guys. That's the end of this video. That's all my products that I am anti-hauling from the 2017 beauty favorite videos. Let me know if any of these products you are anti-hauling as well, and let me know down in the comments if there are any products that your favorite beauty influencers or YouTubers were recommending in their 2017 beauty favorites that you are just not going to buy and that you are saying no deal to. I would love to hear what they are. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up for me if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload videos 3 times a week, so Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Thanks for stopping by and clicking on this video to hang out with me, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye everyone.